All right, what is good, ladies and gentlemen? Is the Master Reviewer back again with another review, and today we are doing a review for Severance Season 2. I ended up binging the entire season the full day, and so now we are doing a review for it, so let's just get into it, starting off with the characters. So you have Heliar back again, Mark Scout. I just finished it, so I still feel like I'm still kind of digesting what I just saw, so... yeah, Mark, Scout, Heliar, basically all the main cast from season 1 is back. It is a bit of a shame that you do have Irving back in this, but it does, like, he does kind of, like, halfway through, spoilers, by the way, ahead for anyone who hasn't seen season 2, Irving, he does end up, like, kind of being he does have less of a role to play because in the plot of the season, he does end up, like, getting fired from the job, so he's not with the main cast as much, which is a bit of a shame. I do really like how Mark in this season, it does feel like he very much feels like just two different people. Like, and there is a very, like in the last season also, like he did feel like two separate people, but in this one's like especially where he has like in the final episode where he's sending like back and forth messages between himself. It's just great stuff. Dylan, I did like him also. He kind of has like a bit more, you do find out more about his backstory and stuff, and he has like the contact with his wife and stuff, and it does cause like him as his Audi to reflect on how he is a person, and like his Innie like learning to like he's like has to deal with like the fact that like the reality of the situation that he's in. Milchick, I think Milchick, honestly, he's like become one of my favorite characters in the entire show, just because like I liked him in season 1, but in this season it's like he gets promoted to the floor manager because Cobell is no longer like with the company. So Milchick, he like has to take on this role, and it's like no one respects him really, so it's like he has to like take shit from everyone, and it's just a great watching him, and it's like it's very interesting. It's like he's basically the face of like Lumen, basically, that you see on the Severance floor, but he's still like a sympathetic character that you kind of like you're kind of rooting for in a way. Maybe it's just me, but it's like I really like it. You kind of want to see him like get these wins here and there, because it's like you do feel bad for him. It's like he does end up taking a lot of crap from a lot of his higher ups, and like he gets like reprimanded for like a lot of stuff that the main cast ends up doing. Like he's the one that takes like anytime like Mark, Helly, Dylan, or Irving like they do something, it's like he faces the repercussions for that. So it's like he's a great character, love him a lot. Who else? You have Mr. Drummond. He's a new character that I don't think we saw up to this point, so he was also good. Miss Wong, I didn't really care about her. She was like the character. I think she's meant to like more so tease like the larger scope of what's going on with the situation. But she was fine. She just wasn't really in the show too much. And yeah, Army Cobell. I didn't really. So she was never in season 1 as well. She wasn't really my favorite character, I think. And also here, it's like I did like that we didn't see her as much, because it did make the moments with her like more impactful. And I'll get more into this a bit later, but I'll say this now. My least favorite episodes were episodes 7 and 8. I did not like those, mainly because they were like solo episodes focusing on Casey/Gemma and Miss Cobell, and I'll get more into it later. But I did think that episode was pretty good for Miss Cobell's character, I'd say. Other than that, you have, let's see, who else do you have here? Asel Regavi, the one that's basically the one that performed that reintegrated Mark into. She did the reintegration for Mark. I really like her character. She's a very fun. Anytime she's like involved with the plot, it's interesting. She like has like she's like anytime that it does something where it's like it's giving more information about like the mystery of the show, it's like I do like that. And she is basically anytime that she's in the scene, it's basically like them making progress with the mystery of the show. So I did like her character. She was good. What else? Rickon, you don't really see Rickon that much this season, surprisingly. He was a pretty big focus in last season. This season is like Lumen does try to like contract him to like rework his book a bit to make it more friendly for Lumen workers, and he does kind of like consider it because it would get him like a lot of money. So, but you don't really see him that much. You do see Devin though quite a bit, and Devin is still good. She's still. I thought it was really stupid that she was like trying to contact Miss Cobell, like when she. Number one, she knows that she's. I'm pretty sure at this point, like she does know that she was working for Lumen, and then the person, like Asal, she tells her like, do not contact her. If you contact her, I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. And so it's like, if it were me, like my brother, he's on the couch. He's like partially dying or something. I have no idea what his condition is. Like I would stick with the one that's like, first of all, in closer proximity, and also the one that like seems to know what she's doing. So that's just me. Miss Casey, I thought that she was good. I don't know if I really liked her. I don't know if I liked her like as much as the first season. I'd say towards the end, like in the last episode, I thought she was very good, but like once again, her solo episode, I didn't really, the two solo episodes for like Miss Casey / Gemma and Miss Colbell / Selvig, I didn't really like that much, but we'll get into it, not yet. Yeah, that is pretty much, I think that's, Bert is in this a bit. It was nice to learn about his backstory for like why he originally got severed, and like it's very interesting this season. It does a great job of like showing it really helps you grapple with like the situation that they're in, where it's like, especially like characters like Mark, where it's like he's in a situation where it's like he has a wife, is out, he has a wife, but then his innie is in love with someone else, and then you have someone like Bert, where he's married to someone in the outside world, but then in Lumen, like he fell in love with someone. So it does a really good job of like being able to have these situations where it's like you really wonder to yourself, like, what is the right, like, not just in terms of love, but like in a lot of situations in this season, like you do wonder like what is like, it's like a very great concept for a show. I think this is honestly one of the best concepts for a show that I've ever seen, but they took like this great concept and they managed to like write a really like interesting mystery around it and a good story, and like it does get you thinking. Like I've never really been, like in a lot of shows, it's like I don't really think too much a lot of the time, but this show is like really getting me to think about like maybe there's like a loophole that they can use to like solve some of their issues, and like maybe they're like what are the ramifications about this and stuff, and it's like it's really just really good. So yeah, I'm gonna give the characters, I'm gonna go with I'll say an 8 out of 10. I do think that a lot of characters were improved this season, like for example Milchick and Dylan and stuff, but I do think like characters like Irving was good, especially in the start of the season, like especially in the 4th episode where they go on like the company outing and stuff. But then it just in the second half of the season, he does kind of like get sidelined, so that is a bit of a shame. Mark, the conflict that he faces. Helly also, to be honest, it felt like it felt like she was more prominent in the last season than this season. This season, it kind of feels like she's just it feels like she's less main character compared to the last season. It kind of felt like she had more to do in the last season. It kind of felt like, but yeah, so I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10. I thought the characters were great. In terms of the plot of this season is basically, it's a continuation of last season pretty much. Sorry, I ate something, so yeah, anyway, so it's a continuation of last season. There's still like the mystery of like all the floor workers are trying to find out like the mystery of like what it is that they're doing, all the macro data we're finding, what's it for. And it is nice that they do kind of like reveal some mysteries, like you do get some sense of like kind of what's going on, at least in some of the cases, not all of it, like you still have no idea what's going on with the goat stuff, like the pamphlet cards that was so important that Milchick needed to wake up Dylan from the real world to get it back and stuff. Like there are still definitely a lot of mysteries and stuff, but it does a good job of like that stuff. And I will say it's a bit of a shame. I did like the first season where it did feel like very much a balance between the work life and the real world stuff. And in this season, it does feel like there's a lot of real world stuff, but as well as it feels like the work stuff. It's like there's less work stuff. It feels like, and more so because at this stage, it's like anytime they're at the work area, it is them trying to figure out like what's going on and stuff. So I did kind of like the first season a bit better in that aspect, where it did feel like they were slowly kind of it was mainly just Helly trying to like get out, but then it slowly kind of leads to the other characters to slowly start revolting little by little. So I did like that in the first season, but it's still the plot. It was really good. All the stuff between like Mark and like his Indian stuff, all the stuff between Dylan and his Innie, all the stuff with Milchick, all the stuff. Just overall, it was still a great plot. Pretty much. I would say not as good as the first season, because once again, my least favorite thing was probably the 2 episodes with Miss Casey and Miss Casey / I'm saying both names for some reason, I don't have to probably, but her character, and also Miss Colbell. I didn't really like the fact that, I don't know, I like that when the show it's showing like a bunch of stuff going on, where it's like you have a bunch of different characters like you see in one episode, and it's like when you have an episode that's just focused on one character, especially if it's someone like not one of the main characters, like if it was a single focused episode on like I don't know, Helly maybe, whereas like you see maybe her backstory, or even like Mark Scout, but in this case it's like they chose Miss Casey, which would have been fine, but it didn't reveal like enough backstory for like what actually happened to her and why she ended up getting kidnapped and stuff. Like they don't reveal enough. If they revealed more, it felt like it probably would have been a better episode, but I just like it raised like more questions if anything, so I didn't really, that was probably my least favorite episode. And then there was a Miss Colbell episode, which I liked a bit more, I'd say, just because it did kind of like it did reveal some mysteries. Like we find out that she was, I guess she was responsible for Severance. To be honest, I don't really understand the timeline, because it is mentioned that Lumen was started in like the 1800s, so I don't really know what the company was doing at that point. Like I don't know if the Severance thing directly has to do with the company. But yeah, so it does reveal that Miss Cobell, she was the one that like pretty much helped the company like to a large extent to get to where they are now. So but it did, like, so I did like that about the episode, but I did think that it was like mainly just, it felt like family conflict and stuff, because like she was fighting with her sister and like they were arguing about like how her mother died and stuff. And I thought that the man that helped drive her to the house of her sister, I thought that was her brother, but then she ended up kissing him. So I guess unless they got some weird Alabama thing going on, then I apparently, then I guess like, because he had like gray hair, like a gray beard, I think. So I thought like maybe they were related, but then I don't think they are after they kiss. So yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna give the plot, I'm gonna give it a I'll go with an 8 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. I think it was great, but once again, I think that probably the last season was still like a bit better. I think I liked it. I also, the 4th episode, I did think that it had a slow start kind of with like the outing and stuff with all the innies, and then but the second half was good when it's revealed that Helly was secretly like her outie the entire time, and so that stuff was good. In terms of the settings, once again, the work office, it is also it's season 2, so like I am kind of more used to it now, so it doesn't have like the same appeal as the first season had with the setting and stuff. So it does kind of lose some points with me on that. And it is still nice to see all the snow and stuff in the real world, but I wouldn't say that any. I'll say the setting is 7.5. I'll say it's still very good, but I think it did kind of lose some of the appeal now that like I've gotten more used to it and stuff. So there was like the goat area, I guess that was new, but it didn't really feel too. I didn't really care for the ground zero floor. It was like it had just more rooms in it, and it didn't feel like any better than, it felt worse than like the regular like just hallways that we saw. The goat area though, that was like fine, I guess, but like there were no new areas that I really thought were really cool or anything. So I'm just gonna give it a 7.5 for the setting. In terms of the thriller / drama, I will say there was some really good drama, especially like towards the end, where it does like get into conflicts between like, okay, if we're gonna stop Lumen, what are the ramifications for like the innings? Because so far up until this point, you had so much of the show was focused on, okay, how do we get out of how do like us as innies, how do we escape this place? But then it's like when they finally do manage to have a chance to escape, it's like, okay, but what does this actually mean for us if we do escape? And it's like I love that the show like grapples with all that like kind of philosophy and stuff. There is some other philosophy that's pretty good, where it's like they say Bert and his husband, it's like they went to like a church and stuff, and like the church considers like innies to have like a separate soul from the outies, and so they're able to like if an innie is like an innie is like an innie is considered innocent, so it's like Bert's like motivation for becoming a Lumen employee is like because he'll have an innocent soul that can go to heaven with his husband and stuff. So I thought that this show does bring up like a lot of like interesting philosophy of like the two different people, and like is one person with like two different personalities, are like the same person, are they a different person? And that show just does a great job of tackling that kind of that discussion, I guess. So I'll give the drama / thriller. The thriller was fine. I did think you do actually see the first not the first kill in the show. I guess the first kill would have been the last season with I forgot his name, but the security guard that ended up like he got hit in the back of the head by what's her name, Asshole, when Mark was meeting with her. But in this season, you do have Mr. Drummond. He ends up dying. So I did like that when Mark was like covered in blood and stuff when he first meets Gemma. So that was good. I'm gonna give the thriller / drama. I'm gonna give it I'll go 8 out of 10. I'll go another 8 out of 10. I will say it was great. Yeah, just really good drama, really fun to see the interaction, especially like the interactions between like the innies and the outies. That makes for just great drama. Just a second, I dropped my marker here, rolled away, so I had to go get it. Yeah, so thriller / drama, 8 out of 10, I'll say. In terms of the mystery, I'm gonna give it I'll give it probably an 8.5. I'll say it was amazing. I am still very much like intrigued by what is going on, what is the true motivations of Lumen. It did like reveal some mysteries, like what the macro dating is for, and it's like apparently for something to do with Gemma's personality and stuff. So, but you still have questions like what is the Miss Wong, like what is, or she's apparently like trained for something in like Winterfield, something like that. You have questions about what are the goats for, what are the questions? It's hard to think of it on the spot, but question. I don't think they set up to this point where Irving ended up getting severed. I think maybe. I feel, okay, this might just be me making it up for some reason, but maybe in season 1 they mentioned something about like how he had a son that died in the army. I'm not sure about that. It's possible, but I might just be like hallucinating that memory. So, but yeah, there's still a lot of the mystery that is yet to be solved, and there is a lot that you still want to find out about it and stuff. So I am gonna give the mystery 8.5. It is still amazing, and I am very excited to see what happens in. I'm hoping that we get some more answers in season 3. In terms of the worst thing, I'm just gonna give it to probably, like I said, episode 7 and 8. I did not really. I would also include episode 4, but episode 4 did end up like having a great second half with like Irving almost drowning Helly and stuff. So, but I'm gonna give it to worst thing episode 7 and 8. But even so, they're still like I'll say they were still good episodes, like still a 6.5, I would say. So it's more like a 6 to a 6.5, but I'm being generous, giving it a 6.5. Just a second, I gotta drink something. Or break there. Yeah, so that was 6.5 for episodes 7 and 8. Still good episodes though. In terms of the best thing, I am just gonna reuse the best score, which was the mystery aspect. Actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna say the best thing was probably. I'm thinking maybe it was like the conflict between Mark and like his Zinni and Audi and stuff. I thought that was really good, like the way that they handled the conflict between the characters and stuff. So I'm thinking maybe I give like a 9 for that, but it's realistically more like an 8.5. So I'm gonna give it like, I'm thinking 8.5 to a 9. I'm just gonna give it an 8.5 for like the conflict between Mark and his Zinni and Audi and stuff. I thought that was really good. And also like the conflict between Dylan and stuff. I think all the like the conflict that the show raises between like the Annies and the Audis, I thought that it was the best thing this season. I thought that was really amazing. I don't think I would go so far as to say incredible. I'm just going to say amazing, so 8.5. So yeah, that is, I'm going to do the calculations. I have no extra notes because I don't write extra notes for shows. So yeah, I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. All right, so it ends up coming out to about an 8 out of 10, and I think that's what I would give it. I would say it was great. I think that it does have some stuff holding it back from the first season. I still think probably the first season was better in my opinion, but it is still a great season, and I very much enjoyed it. I'm wondering maybe if I didn't binge it all one day, maybe it would have been, like, I don't know how like binging something really affects it. I feel like it's probably better because it's like you consume it all at once. You get the whole story at one time instead of like getting it in chunks over the course of a few days. But then at the same time, it's like you might get burnt out maybe, and maybe I'm a bit burnt out at this point after I finish watching it. So it's like maybe I'm a bit tired of it. So that's why I'm rating it a bit lower. So I am wondering that. But yeah, I did binge it all in one day, and I still think it's great. So that should, if it was lowered by the score, that just means that if you watch it over the course of a few days, then it's going to probably be better than great. So. Or maybe the opposite, maybe, because I binged in one day, it was great, and if you watch it over the course of a few days, it's probably slightly worse. So, yeah, anyway. So, yeah, 8 out of 10, great second season, and can't wait for the third one. So, yeah, if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments, and I will maybe possibly check it out. But with that, so yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it, so let's leave it at that.